Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today I get the opportunity to bring you a preview of Forgotten Depths. And you'll notice in the description that I titled this video something along the lines of Coming Soon to Kickstarter. And I did that for a very specific reason. You see, Forgotten Depths by Void Knight Games is just under 2 weeks out from their Kickstarter launch. And we're going to be doing a variety of other content for that Kickstarter, both to show this off and let you know if this is going to be the right game for you, including solo gameplay, 3-player gameplay, and potentially some other like previews or flavor text or overviews, things along those lines. So as we approach that Kickstarter date, keep an eye out for the rest of our content, letting you delve into and experience what this game is. But with all that other content coming out, I didn't really feel like it was necessary to save a short little concise preview video for the Kickstarter launch itself. Instead, I thought I would get you excited for what this game is, what it is promising to be. You see, Forgotten Depths is the type of game that I really believe Kickstarter was originally made for. First game by a publisher, a small box title with a unique environment and artistic aesthetic. This is a game that will not exist without Kickstarter as a platform. A game that is going to have all the opportunity in the world because of fans in this community and that space specifically. And a game that I am proud and excited to talk and brag about a little bit. I do want to acknowledge, as you're seeing B-roll and coverage and everything here, this is still a Kickstarter prototype. And so everything, including the artwork and the development on this game, is still in a work-in-progress form. In fact, they've focused more heavily on the mechanics and structure and flow of this game, the storytelling elements, than they have on getting all of the artwork entirely finished before they fund here on Kickstarter. I've now completed a 3-player session of this. I've done a few solo sessions, including one that I've recorded, and so I feel well equipped to talk to you about what this game is, what it is promising, and what it is executing on. Forgotten Depths is a 1 to 3 player dungeon adventure game. Not a dungeon crawl, mind you, but more of an RPG or storytelling experience. In this game, you're going to be doing 2 major things. First off, exploring the ruins, these ecosystems, going down through 3 different levels, each with their own creatures that are entirely unique to the ecosystem you're exploring, with their own subterranean infrastructure and plots and storylines that you're going to be venturing through. Your goal is to get to the bottom of these cavernous depths and to face off with the final creature, this being or deity that is being summoned forth and causing trouble. Throughout that journey, you're going to be upgrading your characters, gathering weapons, equipping abilities, fighting various horrendous beings, which are specifically described as your heroes would describe them. Things like a giant centipede or a sentient vapor. Not with official terms, but just the base understanding of what it is you're approaching. You're going to be exploring these caverns, looking for a staircase, fighting against the main boss, and then continuing to venture down. And each session providing you with various different story and puzzle mechanics that you can explore. The other part of the game that you'll be experiencing is going to be the combat system. As you face off against these creatures, you and your team, this is a cooperative game, will be using your own custom deck of cards with unique illustrated pieces of art and varying numbers depending on your own personal skills and abilities and what skills and abilities you've added to your personal character. So if you're playing as Syl, Ava, or Bren, each one is going to have a slightly different deck, and each one is going to have abilities that modify their decks in different ways. You'll be using these cards, playing from your hand, to try to match up encounter numbers that are being played against you by the creatures or the beasts that you're facing. All the while trying to strategically use your power and abilities to manipulate those numbers, improve your deck, and hopefully take down these beasts before your life dwindles to the very end. So let me give you an overview of some of the things that I think this game does really well. Some things that I'm excited about and excited to show off in the gameplays that we're bringing to the channel. And also, let me note, this is still a Quackalope video. I've saved the flavor text for the very end of this because I want to have the time to really delve into it. So stay tuned. I guarantee the story, which I think is very well written, is on the way. So some of the things that this game does really, really well, and probably let's start off with my favorite element of this game. It's going to be here in this cavern that you're exploring, specifically with your legendary encounters. As you're laying tiles, you're trying to solve a puzzle in a way, moving around, making sure that you always have a clear path that you can journey through, dealing with encounters when you have to, when you face them, or fighting creatures in order to open up a tunnel and give you the opportunity to draw a card and place another one down. But as you're doing that, you're solving a self-contained little puzzle as well. You see, the top of these cards, you can see some square symbols, some nodes that have to be connected. We have a few of them down here on the board. As you complete these, as you build the cavern in a particular way, you will unlock and pull some very specific story elements. Journeys that you're going through, or encounters that you're facing, or items that you're discovering. This is going to buff your character. This is going to provide flavor and narrative. And for me, this puzzle laying, this equation that you're trying to solve, really opens up because the cavern that you're building provides you with this thematic lore and story that you get to experience, and that shifts and changes as you're playing the game, every time you're venturing through this world. And along with that, this ecosystem is one of three, so as you're journeying down, you're going to encounter more and more of these stories, of these legendary encounters, or of these just special event encounters or creatures that are unique to every single region. These are hands down my favorite part of this game. I think it is something that makes this game the exact definition of what it describes itself as. A dungeon adventure game, where you are the hero or heroine, and you're moving through and truly going on a self-contained small box D&D story game. And if you're wondering why I'm so enthralled and excited about this, it's because this type of game is the sweet spot for the types of games that I personally enjoy. So that is going to be the dungeon exploration element, this puzzle that you're solving and those legendary encounters that I thought were really, really cool. The other element is going to be down here on your heroes, specifically with the fact that each one has its own asymmetric hero deck. You all start off fairly equal, with a high degree of randomness or luck when it comes to the cards that you're drawing up into your hand, what you're deciding to play down, and what the opposing creature is going to play down and fight you with. You're looking for highs and lows or pairs. And each creature will have its own mechanics or special abilities that trigger, just like your heroes have their own mechanics and special abilities that can trigger. But at the very beginning of the game, you don't feel that strong. You feel resigned to the randomness or luck that the cavern is exposing you to. But here's where it gets really cool. These asymmetric decks, these special abilities, open up the opportunity for each character to start becoming the hero that they describe themselves as. Ava here, she's a rogue, and her deck builds in a way that you would expect a rogue deck to build. For instance, I have both Parry and Risky Riposte down here, and those allow you to ignore or manipulate certain numbers that you're fighting with. Or I have Syl, the wizard. Her deck is going to allow her to equip and cycle power cards, unlocking special abilities that allow her to draw up and refire, or pull a card from the bottom of her discard pile back up onto the top of her deck, preparing you or guaranteeing a hit on the very next cycle. Really using and manipulating this deck like you're playing with Magic. And then Bren, the fighter. She is going to have cards and abilities and special powers that equip her with just heavy-hitting, hard and ruthless attacks, allowing her to block for other characters or potentially heal a little bit of damage along the way. Each of these characters, as you explore, start off feeling weak, start off feeling random, start off feeling open to the thralls of chaos that exist in this cavern. But as you're playing, as you're going through this story-driven adventure, their abilities, the items that you find, and the way that you utilize and equip those abilities, it's going to unlock characters that, for me, felt accurate to a D&D campaign or an RPG campaign that I was playing. So that's going to be your character. And in all honesty, that's going to be my preview or my overview of this game. Just enough to tell you that coverage is coming. Just enough to get you excited about what Forgotten Depths has in store here. So, if you've stayed tuned for this part, I'm going to go ahead and cut to my favorite element of a game where I give you a little bit of flavor text. Because in any good adventure game, you should know the world you're beginning to explore. And since I'm going to cut this off after the flavor text, I do want to go ahead and remind you. Whatever you do, remember to do the important thing, get out and play some games. And I'll see you next time. Thank you. It is a time of scarcity and base survival. The last great age was generations ago, and even that was a mere shadow of the one before. Massive fractured constructions remain from those times, huge and enduring. Vast scapes of strange purpose. Whole forests lay within their broken bounds, entire mountains shelter under their soaring forms. This proud scale stands in stark contrast to the remaining bands of humans that dot the landscape. Their reduced numbers huddled together in villages and hamlets, immense distances between them. The deep fear and selfishness that followed the chiasm has subsided. The tremendous violence of the era of battles and ensuing age of raids is no more. Still, there is an uneasiness, for while there is no immediate threat from human raiders, there are other darker dangers at hand. The turmoil of the past awoke many old and terrible things, and the foul events of that time left behind many creatures of wondrous and deadly design. These forces are naturally opposed to your kind. Many will keep to themselves unless intruded upon, but others actively seek to conquer. This type will gather others, then pour forth to capture and eradicate. A threat such as this has been detected. The signs point to a being of enormous power at the bottom of a great construction in lands to the east. One capable of drawing a large force to itself from the dark spaces beyond normal reckoning. The preparations have been made, the rites and honors have been performed. It is time to venture into the depths.